Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Cake Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
This is the best of OTR. It's summertime, which means we get some time off, but it gives us a chance to show you some of the best of what we have done all year. And that means Hulk Hogan. He is the legend, the biggest thing in wrestling ever. He and Vince have done it all together. But that does not mean that they always see eye to eye. They've had their problems. Here's Hulk Hogan talking about them.
There's a long history, like you said, almost 20 years of Hulk Hogan and the McMahon family, his father first, and now Vince. The problem is the problem is the problem. The problem is I don't know what the problem is. I went back to work in January, started out in Toronto, did WrestleMania, worked 5 or 6 pay-per-views, worked a lot of house shows, which are wrestling live venues that aren't televised. And then we got to a point where I needed a little break because at 49 years old, you can't wrestle every night, 20 minutes a night. You can wrestle 1 or 2 nights and you need a day off.
I hear you, brother.
So we get to the point where I said, Vince, need a little break. So I did the match with Brock Lesnar. Made him look like $1 million. He's a great talent. And then I took some time off. When it was time to talk about coming back, Vince McMahon hit me with a scenario, plan A. I kind of said, oh, that doesn't really get it.
Which was he wanted you to job for Brock Lesnar again, right?
Well, it wasn't so much that. It was no problem with the job. That's where people kind of miss the point. It's the whole content of the show. Take it to a higher level, take the high road. I had a problem with plan A, and then plan B came the next day. And both of plan A and plan B weren't that high road. They were that low road again, the Jerry Springer wrestling that once I did my segment, whether it was beating Brock Lesnar or, as you would say, jobbing for Brock Lesnar, which means losing. The rest of the content of the show was in that low road situation. So as we were speaking and as Vince and I talked, it was the 3rd time he called me back after plan A and plan B. I balked on. He called me with the 3rd phone call, and I didn't even know he was going to call. But as we started talking, I rudely interrupted, and basically I said, well, let's just talk after the 1st of the year. I'm not going to do anything until after the 1st of the year. I'm going to stay with my family. And
so what's your contract status right now?
I've got a couple more weeks left. I think it's January 14th that it expires. That's it. And so I am the one that verbally spoke over him on the phone and said, Vince, let's just talk after the 1st of the year. That's where it stands. Whether he wants to talk to me or doesn't want to talk to me, I don't know. And I hope he does, because I would love to talk to him about, Hulk Hogan and what I can bring to the table and taking this high road. I think it's just my opinion. But after what happened in the United States, in our country, with the 911, people get tired of the death, the devastation, the shock TV type stuff. I think people want to see the high road. Whatever happened with me arguing with you, going into the Sky Dome and selling it out like myself and The Rock, that still works too. Wrestling still works.
Now, what do you bring right now to the WWE? What do you offer them? Because he's not taking it right now. You're talking about, in a lot of ways, moving backwards, right, in terms of sports entertainment and wrestling. You're talking about going back into the past and drawing on that maybe to boost where they are right now.
Not at all. Not at all. You're completely missing the point. I'm talking about the natural progression, the natural skyrocketing of a product to the next level. I'm talking about not trying to move by somebody that's established, not trying to move by somebody that is a loyal fan base, not trying to move by someone that's loyal to the company, such as myself. And point taken, if I would have won every match and been the champion of the world and on top of my game, and Brock Lesnar would have wiped me out, it would have really meant something. In my opinion, Brock Lesnar beating Hulk Hogan, that had been beaten for the last 10 weeks on TV, really didn't mean as much. What I'm trying to get to is, instead of pushing Hulk Hogan aside, I feel that I still have a lot to give to the company.
Be more specific. Give me an idea, because you've been involved intimately in the creative process of wrestling for a lot of years. What would you do with this thing? Pitch me the way you might pitch Vince.
Well, if you were Vince McMahon, I'd say, Vince, the only thing that is real in this make-believe world of professional wrestling was the fact that these fans that are so loyal to their product, they believed in the comeback of the old man Hulk Hogan. Now you're Vince I'm talking to. So Vince, why don't we capitalize and give these people something to live for, something to cheer for, instead of trying to always take it away from them? And we keep taking it away from them, but they still cheer. Well, you're losing matches, but it works. What happens if I did, get a little spring in my step? What happens if I did start to get a little momentum? What happened if the people really started saying, oh my gosh, it's working, he's coming back, he's larger than life, and all of a sudden, as I was building, as a scenario would go, then as I passed the torch, then as we gracefully made the young guys, feel more compatible with the audience. Then as the people got to know the Kidmans better and the Jerichos that are coming up better, well, Jericho's doing good, but you know, all the guys that, then as the people got to warm up to these guys, then when that torch was passed, I'd go, oh yeah, I've kind of grown up with Kidman, Kidman's getting better, and then he beat Hulk Hogan, and now, yeah, I feel good cheering for Jericho instead of all of a sudden ending the story, now cheer for this guy who you don't know. I just wanted a more natural progression, and it's just my opinion, you know, of a way to utilize. I had no idea when I came back Hulkamania was so alive and well. I had no idea when I hit Toronto that the guy that was the hottest commodity in the wrestling business, the guy that sold more merchandise than supposedly anybody else, the guy who was the hottest guy, would get booed out of the building. We stumbled onto something great. Why not capitalize on it?
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg.
Never been a greater master of the mic than Hulk Hogan. Hogan made millions by talking about prayers, vitamins, and Hulkamaniacs. He's also one of the smartest men in pro wrestling, and that means understanding the politics of the game. It's called getting a guy over, and it means you look bad, so he'll look good. Here's Hulk Hogan defending himself against claims that he didn't want to get the Ultimate Warrior over.
It's not that I didn't want to put him over. If we could be more specific about it, I thought the timing was wrong. I thought the Ultimate Warrior was there to take over and push Hulkamania to the side. It's time for the new era for the Ultimate Warrior to rule and run the WWF for 10 to 12 years. I told Vince McMahon, the guy's not ready. I don't feel comfortable about him taking my spot and running with the ball. Like I tried to say earlier, in the last time we talked, everybody was given the football. You know, if I want to name people like Roddy Piper, we'll see, he was the main event at WrestleMania 1, and that's it. Hulk Hogan was the main event at WrestleMania 1, and all the others after until I left. We were all given the ball, and I ran with it better than anybody. Vince wanted to give the ball to the Ultimate Warrior. I said, the guy's too green. He doesn't have what it takes. 6 months later, they were calling me back. It wasn't I didn't want to put him over. I knew it was the wrong thing.
Two guys that if you talk about the greatest ever, you hear the names, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Is it a tie?
I don't know.
In your mind?
In my mind, and to being honest, stepping away third person, as The Rock would say, Hulk Hogan says. Speaking third person because this will sound
You're not
like
going off to do a movie now, are you?
No, sir.
Okay.
Third person, if I could say it and be honestly, it's not a tie. Hulk Hogan will be the Babe Ruth of wrestling if he never wrestled another day. Ric Flair won't be because he's in Hulk Hogan's shadow. Now, on my personal opinion, Terry Bollea, I think Ric Flair was the greatest wrestler ever. That's my personal opinion. But what's going to go down in the record books was Hulk Hogan was the greatest.
What's the difference between a great wrestler and a great entertainer? Now, often a great wrestler is a great entertainer, but there is a difference.
Not very often. Very, very seldom is a great wrestler a great entertainer. Name me one.
Name you.
I'll tell you one.
Ric Flair.
He's not a great wrestler.
You don't think he's a great wrestler?
He's not a great amateur wrestler. Kurt Angle's a great wrestler, who is now becoming a great entertainer. I can't think of another one. You're getting a headlock and an armbar mixed up. That's not wrestling. That's working. Ric Flair is not a great amateur wrestler or a great Olympic wrestler. There's only one right now that's getting close, and that's Kurt Angle. He's so entertaining. The difference between a great wrestler and a great entertainer is a great wrestler is a guy that might win the Olympics, might win a high school event, might be an NCAA champion, knows how to wrestle on the mat. An entertainer is the guy that generates, a great entertainer is a guy that generates revenue, that puts asses in seats, that has a consistent string of sellouts and venues.
How about Randy Savage? You guys are, of course, linked. You guys were on top for so long. Are you guys friends? Are you guys tight? Do you like him?
No, he hates my guts. He hates me. As we speak,
Why? Why do you think?
Why do I think?
Why do you think?
Why do I think? I think it's because Randy had some negative things in his life, such as a divorce and such as some business problems, you know, with people.
Because Elizabeth, right, came and lived with you?
No, she didn't. What happened was, before Randy got divorced, we were all very close. My wife and myself and Randy and Miss Elizabeth were all good friends. I left to do a movie in Miami, Mr. Nanny. My wife says, if you want to come down and hang around the pool, since Randy's going on the road, you know, and Terry's going to be doing a movie, you're more than welcome to come down and help me watch the kids. She came down to help my wife with the kids, and her and Randy split up. She never went home. She actually packed her car and went down there. What the reason was, I don't know, but it was all my fault. 3 years later, when Vince didn't want Randy to wrestle, and he was a commentator, you know, making a lot less money than wrestling, he called me and wanted a job. I said, let's meet. We talked. He told me how he felt, marriage. I said, I understand being in love. I understand, you know, your situation. And I went and talked to Eric Bischoff about hiring Randy. A couple of years later, same situation. A girlfriend of his I didn't want around me in the dressing room. I asked her to leave.